Hare Krishna, thank you for joining this morning, Sri Bhagavatam Sangha, and we're trying to do some japa later on. So, we're talking about King Citraketu. It's a very long pastime. So, and a lot happens, and there's a lot to learn from this pastime as well. And now King Citraketu he gives up everything after he realizes his son is, what his son, when he came back to life, what he said, opened his eyes, he's left everything, and now he's in the association of the Supreme Lord, and he's doing his prayers. So let's continue from there. So being full of contradictions, all forms of religion, but Bhagavad Dharma work under conception of fruitive results and distinctions of you and I, yours, mine. The followers of Srimad Bhagavatam have no such consciousness. They are all Krishna conscious, thinking that they are Krishna's and Krishna is theirs. There are other low-class religious systems which are contemplated for the killing of enemies or the gain of mystic power, but such religious systems, being full of passion and envy, are impure and temporary because they are full of envy, they are full of irreligion. So there are many religious systems, lower and higher, but there's only one Bhagavata Dharma, that is being servant of Krishna. Any religious system, but the process of Bhagavad Dharma, service as an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality Godhead, is a system of envy of one's own self and of others. For example, there are many systems of religion in which animal sacrifices are recommended. Such animal sacrifices are inauspicious both for the performer and for the animal. Although one is sometimes permitted to sacrifice an animal for the goddess Kali and eat it instead of purchasing meat from a slaughterhouse. Permission to eat meat after sacrifice in the presence of goddess Kali is not the order of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So God does not recommend that you eat meat, but in the Vedas, there are recommendations that you can eat meat in a systematic way, because the Vedas allow for everyone in all stages of worship just to bring you into a system. Because if you're doing things in an unsystematic way, then there is no control. It's the thing. You'll do things, you will overdo things. But if you do things in a systematic way, one day you will realize that what you're doing is probably not a right thing to do, and you will upgrade yourself from there. But if you are out of control, then who can control you? So, although one is sometimes permitted to sacrifice an animal for the goddess Kali and eat it instead of purchasing meat from the slaughterhouse, permission to eat meat after sacrifice in the presence of goddess Kali is not the order of the Supreme Personality Godhead. It is simply a concession for the miserable person who will not give up eating meat. That's all. It is meant to restrict his desire for unrestricted meat eating. So if you can't control eating meat, then do it in a systematic way. That's what he's saying. Such a religious system is condemned. Therefore, Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Pritajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. This is the last word in religion. So give up all these small religions and surrender to me, because that is the highest religion. That's why. Now, one may argue that the sacrifice of animals is recommended in the Vedas. This recommendation, however, is a restriction. Without Vedic restrictions on the purchase of meat, people will purchase meat from the market, which will be overflooded with meat shops, and slaughterhouses will increase. To restrict this, sometimes the Vedas say that one may eat meat after sacrificing an insignificant animal like a goat before the goddess Kali. In any case, a system of religion in which animal sacrifices are recommended is inauspicious for those who perform the sacrifice and for the animals. Yeah, well, it's obvious why it's inauspicious for the animals, because he's about to get killed, and Also, we don't have the know-how how to do the sacrifice, so they may get a new body or or a better body. And in terms of us eating that meat, which is offered to Goddess Kali, the demigods, they only accept prasad, so they will not accept this this offering, and this offering will be accepted by the bhutas, the prets. So that's what we're eating. Or whoever is eating the remnants of bhut and prets. So you have to be very careful. So let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Lang Yate Gerim Yat Kripa Tamam Vandeshi Gurum Din Taranam Pramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hariyam Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Nar Uttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Toto Jem Uduriyat Nasta Presha Abdureshu Nitam Bhagavad Sevil Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. Yeah. So how can a religious system that produces envy of oneself and others be beneficial for oneself and for them? What is auspicious about following such a system? What is actually to be gained by causing pain to one's own self due to self-envy, and by causing pain to others, one arouses your anger and practices irreligion? My dear Lord, one's occupational duty is instructed in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-Gita according to your point of view, which never deviates from the highest goal of life. Those who follow their occupational duties under your supervision, being equal to all living entities, moving and non-moving, and not considering high and low, are called Aryans. Such Aryans worship you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My Lord, it is not possible for one to be immediately freed from all material contamination by seeing you, not to speak of seeing you personally. Merely by hearing the holy name of your Lordship only once, even Chandals, men of the lowest class, are freed from all material contamination. Under the circumstances, who will not be freed from material contamination simply by seeing you? So even just by chanting the holy name, you can be purified. So actually seeing the Lord himself is something different, something well above. Therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and the results of material attachment and lusty desires, which always filled my mind and the core of my heart. Whatever is predicted by the great sage Narad Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narad Muni. So Citraketu Maharaj is saying he's accepted Narad Muni as his spiritual master, and he has guided him, he's instructed him, and by seeing the Lord, he feels that all his attachments are gone and his lusty desires are gone. And because we can't see the Lord directly, we'll look at the deity of the Lord. That also helps us to reduce our lusty desires. O unlimited Supreme Personality Godhead, whatever a living entity does in this material world is well known to you because you are the super soul. In the presence of the sun, there is nothing to be relieved by the light of a glowworm. Similarly, because you know everything in your presence, there is nothing for me to make known. My dear Lord, you are the creator, maintainer, and inhalator of this cosmic manifestation. But persons who are too materialistic, who always see separatedness, do not have eyes with which you to see you. So God is there, we are there, but we don't have the instruments to see God. That's the only problem. They cannot understand your real position, and therefore they conclude that the cosmic manifestation is independent of your opulence. My dear Lord, you are the supreme pure, and you are full in all six opulences. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. So Maharaj Citraketu, he knows everything. My dear Lord, it is after you endeavor that Lord Brahma, Indra, and other directors of the cosmic manifestation become occupied with the activities. It is after you perceive the material energy, my Lord, that the senses begin to perceive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard seeds. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you, that Supreme Personality who has thousands of hoods or unlimited hoods, because God is unlimited in every way. My dear love, so saying that Lord Brahma, Indra, and anyone else, they follow the instructions of the Lord. They are not Bhagwan. There is only one Bhagwan. Then that is Lord Krishna. Sukdev Goswami continued, the Lord, the Supreme Personality Godhead, Anantadev, being very much pleased with the prayers offered by Citraketu, the king of Vidyadharas, replied to him as follows, O best Kuri dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit. The Supreme Personality Godhead, Anantadev, replied as follows, O king, as a result of you having accepted the instructions spoken about me by the great sage Narad and Angira, you have become completely aware of transcendental knowledge because you are now educated in the spiritual science. You have seen me face to face. Therefore, you are now completely perfect. All living entities, moving and non-moving, are my expansions and are separated from me. So we are this separated energy of the Lord, and this is how all living entities are considered. I am the super soul of all living things who exist because I manifest them. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations like Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. And I am the supreme absolute truth. These two forms of mine, namely the transcendental sound and the eternally blissful spiritual form of the deity, are my eternal forms. They are not material. The science of devotional service has been instructed by Narad, Angira to Citraketu. Now, because of Citraketu's devotional service, he has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing devotional service, one advances step by step. And one is on the platform of love of God, Prema Umartho Mahan. He sees the Supreme Lord at every moment, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita. When one engages in devotional service 24 hours a day, which is Tesham Satata Yuktanam, Bhajatam Priti Purvakam, as is mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita. In accordance with the instructions of the spiritual master, his devotional service becomes more and more pleasing. Then the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is within the core of everyone's heart, speaks to the devotee in terms of Dadami Bodhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Apyantite. So he gives instructions from within. So Citraketu Maharaj was first instructed by his gurus, Angira and Narad. And now, having followed the instructions, he has come to the stage of seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. Therefore, the Lord is now instructing him in the essence of knowledge. The essence, the actual, not need to go to detail, just give the essence of what is like Bhagavad-Gita. The essence of Bhagavad-Gita is just surrender to the Lord. That's it. But sometimes we have to be explained why, and how, and what we have to be told these things. But here, the Lord, he can give knowledge in the heart, just like that. Just like to Brahma, he gave knowledge in the heart. Brahma doesn't have to read all the Vedas. The Lord just gives him the essence of the Vedas. In this world of matter, which the conditioned souls accepts as consisting of enjoyable resources, the conditioned soul expands, thinking that he is the enjoyer of the material world. Similarly, the material world expands in the living entity as a source of enjoyment. In this way, they both expand, but because they are my energies, they are both pervaded by me. as the Supreme Lord. I am the cause of these effects, and one should know that both of them rest in me. So this material world is, again, that's the inferior energy of the Lord, which he manufactures for our, could say, enjoyment or for our learning our life lessons from here. So when a person is in deep sleep, he dreams and sees in himself many other objects, such as great mountains and rivers, or perhaps even the entire universe, although they are far away. Sometimes when one awakens from a dream, he sees that he's in a human form, lying in his bed in one place. Then he sees himself in terms of various conditions as belonging to a particular nationality, family, and so on. All the conditions of deep sleep, dreaming, and wakefulness are but energies of the Supreme Personality Godhead. One should always remember the original creator of these conditions, the Supreme Lord, who is unaffected by them. So know me to be the Supreme Brahman, the all-pervading super soul, through whom the sleeping living entity can understand his dreaming condition and his happiness beyond the activities of material senses. That's to say, I'm the cause of the activities of the sleeping living being. So if one's dreams during sleep are merely subject matters witnessed by the super soul, how can the living entity, who is different from the super soul, remember the activities of dreams? The experiences of one person cannot be understood by another. Therefore, the knower of the facts, the living entity who inquires into the incidents manifested in dreams and wakefulness, is different from the circumstantial activities. That knowing factor is Brahman. In other words, the quality of knowing belongs to the living entities and to the super soul. Thus, the living entity can also experience the activity of the dreams on wakefulness. In both stages, the knower is unchanged, but is qualitatively one with the Supreme Brahman. This is complicated stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, we are dreaming. We only know our own dream, and the super soul knows our dream, but the super soul knows everyone's dreams. We only know our own dream. That's all I can say about this at the moment. And the super soul is mentioned earlier, that super soul is the soul of the universe. That's like Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He is the soul. He's the super soul, sorry, of the universe. The soul of the universe is Lord Brahma. Because when Lord Brahma dies, everything finishes. Just like, well, our soul doesn't die, but when he leaves the body, the body is dead. So similarly, Lord Brahma, when he leaves the universe, then the universe is annihilated. So when a living entity thinks himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternity, knowledge and bliss, his material condition life begins. So when we forget that we are a speck part of Krishna, and qualitatively very similar or exactly same as him, but only quantitatively we are very small and he is unlimited. When we forget that, which we have forgotten, that's why we're here. We have forgotten that we are one with the Lord, and we are spiritual. We are a spiritual energy, not a material body or mind that we think we are. And then that's where our material life begins. And if we think we're material, then the material life will begin. If you think you're spiritual, then you will head towards spirituality more and more. It's like a mountain. If you see a mountain from the distance, it seems very small. So we see spiritual life from the distance, it seems very small. But as we approach, like we're doing, as we approach closer to this mountain of spiritual life, it gets bigger and bigger, right? Same mountain, but it gets, now to us, it seems bigger. So the more spiritualized we get, the more we can feel that we are, we see spirituality as bigger than us. At the moment, we see the material life is bigger than spiritual life, if that makes any sense. So in other words, instead of identifying his interest with mind, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions like his wife, children, material possessions. So that's what we do. We are engrossed in material life. Seems more important. This is where we give priority. If we are listening to a class maybe or something, we think, no, I have to do this, I have to do that. We have other priorities, right? In this way, by the influence of his actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death takes place. So it's because we have to make a living, and we have own desires, interests. So naturally, we give priority to our material life, and the spiritual life tends to be in the background. Maybe once a week, go to a program once a week. That's our spiritual life. But the Lord says that that's really not enough. You have to do a lot more than that to spiritualize, to purify, to realize your identity. You have to do a lot more than that. Or just become initiated. Now I'm initiated. I have an automatic visa, license, passport to go back home. It doesn't work like that. The initiation is just saying that no, I am committed. Yes, I'm serious. I'm going to do this. And then you start the process. And make it count. Initiate it counts more once you initiate it. A human being can attain perfection in life by self-realization through the Vedic literature and its practical application. That's what we need to do. And we are doing that just listening to Bhagavatam and discussing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, we will become self-realized. It's literally incarnation of God. We are connecting with God. Every time we read discussing Bhagavatam, we are connecting with Krishna himself. This is possible especially for a human being born in India, the land of piety. A man who obtains birth in such a convenient position but does not understand himself is unable to achieve the highest perfection, even if he is exalted to life in the higher planet systems. So being born in India, we have a big responsibility. Lord Chaitanya says that all Indians, we should be spreading the world, the word into the rest of the world. Actually, it was Lord Chaitanya who wanted that this Krishna consciousness should be spread into the Western world as well. Because remember, at the time of Lord Chaitanya, there was the Muslims were in charge of India, the Mohammedans, and then there's also the British were probably nearby as well. So Lord Chaitanya was well aware of the Western countries. And then he said that this Krishna consciousness spread all over the world into the West as well. And then Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he took on this task. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his son, he took this task. They were trying to educate the Westerners. But then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, he gave the task to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada changed the world with that instruction. It took him, like 40 years to prepare himself because it was a big task, and Srila Prabhupada always thought big. And to do a big task, you need a big preparation, big foundation, big arrangement. And he made that, and the rest is history, as we know. So a human being can attain perfection in life by self-realization through the Vedic literature and its practical applications. This is possible especially for human being born in India. So this statement is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya said in CC, Bharat bhumite hela manushya janam yar janma sathika kari kar par upakar. So here is what I was saying earlier. Lord Chaitanya said that everyone born in India, especially as a human being, not the animals, they are forgiven. That's fine. I'm not expecting anything from them. as a human being can achieve the supreme success through the Vedic literature and its practical application in life. And when one is perfect, he can render service for the self-realization of the entire human society. It's our duty as Indians to help, because they don't have that Vedic knowledge. We have to help them. This is the best way to perform humanitarian work. So this is the real humanitarian work, according to Lord Chaitanya. And this is how we follow Lord Chaitanya. So, remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results, and remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one desires, whether from material actions or from the fruitive activities recommended in the Vedic literatures, an intelligent man should cease from the desire for fruitive actions. For by such endeavors, one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. On the other hand, if one acts without desires for fruitive results, in other words, if one engages in devotional activities, he can achieve the highest goal of life with freedom from miserable conditions. Considering this, one should cease from material desires. Because material desires, they only bring misery end of the day. Yai sparsha bhoga dukkha, everything. They are the unit of the source of misery. So we should try and avoid material desires as much as possible. As husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease their unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because the activities are full of desires, these activities are never a source of happiness, only source of misery. And they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they are cause of great unhappiness. And as Maharaj Citraketu has witnessed himself and experienced it himself, that he wanted his son to take over the kingdom. That's been always a problem with all the kings. They needed a bloodline to follow the name in the kingdom, but this didn't always work. These material desires don't always work. So one should understand that the activities of persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contradictory to those such persons conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. One should further understand that the spirit soul, although very difficult for the materialist to perceive, is above all these conditions. So the soul doesn't have material desires. This is just us being an illusion. And by the strength of one's discrimination, one should give up the desire for fruitive activities or fruitive results in the present life and in the next. Thus, becoming experienced in transcendental knowledge, one should become my devotee. So the Lord is telling him, the Lord is advising Citraketu Maharaj, persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the Supreme Absolute Person and the living entity, who are one in quality in the relationship as part of and whole. This is the ultimate understanding of life. There is no better truth than this. O King, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me. So this is the Lord, after telling this knowledge to Maharaj Citraketu, this is the conclusion. The Lord says, person, O King, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, so this is what we need to do. Being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith. So we need detachment from material enjoyment. We need faith in God, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge, gain knowledge, and not just gain it, use it and its practical application in life. Not just having a lot of knowledge that, and I need to do this, I need to do this, but then you don't do it, then it's no point. You have to use that knowledge. You will achieve the highest perfection of attaining me. That was the instruction by the Lord. So Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued. So after this instructing Citraketu and assuring him of perfection in this way, the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master. He is the Adi Guru, no one above him. And all the whoever's giving instructions it originally came from the Lord himself. The Supreme Soul, Sankarshan, disappeared from that place as Citraketu looked on. So, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. My Father Lordji, Madhu Shamsundar Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, Sarvashriya Mataji. So that is the conclusion. Love to hear from you. Sarvashriya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice about Citraketu's devotion and the instruction by the gurus and by Krishna. And it all says that we should follow the Bhagavad Dharma, and the Bhagavad Dharma is devotional service. It's a duty of all living entities to serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is Bhagavad Dharma, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. He is the master. We are the seventh. Seventh duty is always to serve the master. So we should serve Krishna. There's Bhagavad Dharma, and it's all by reading Bhagavatam, doing devotional service. That's all Bhagavad Dharma. And in devotional service, Shravanam is most powerful, because Raja Parikshit, he had, I mean, there was Sharanam. That's what is for 7 days. He was listening Bhagavatam, and it's so powerful that he went back to Godhead. And it's even the lower class of men, they get purified. The whole, by chanting the whole holy name of the name, the whole atmosphere get purified. Like they're doing Harinam on the streets, your person, if they just hear, they get purified as well. And it's mentioned here that one should follow the most important religious principle is that is not to be envious of any living entity. Living entity means animals, birds, or insects, anybody. And we should, we feel unhappy when they are distressed, when they are interested. And we should think others' pain as our pain. But nowadays, people, they eat meat, as is mentioned here, they eat meat, they don't think, they never think once that they feel pain as well. These animals, they are like, they feel that everything is like us, but they forget. Just for the tongue, touch of the tongue, they eat meat, and they're very envious. And we always recite the mantras, Citraketu recite the mantras. And when you recite the mantras, one gets spiritual association with the Supreme Lord. Because when you're praying, Krishna is there and you are there. They are that your association. It's like person to person. You are talking to Krishna. So that by praying, you are praying, but you get the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as well. And then you get association as well when worshipping the deities. One touches the Lord, like when you bath, you touches the Lord. You have the darshan, and you get purified. And you engage most of your senses when you serving the deities. And engages our senses to Supreme Lord is vanquish all our sinful activities. One cannot become a devotee until one surrenders unto the Lotus feet of the Lord. Like Citraketu, he surrendered to Krishna. That then he could see Krishna. Then the Lord gives him intelligence from within. From within is from super soul. by which one can return back to Godhead. And always let our desire be Krishna's desire, not our desire. You follow the desire of Krishna, and then Krishna will help us. And that's what is to please Krishna. If we not our desire, if we fulfill his desire, the Krishna will be pleased, and then he's very merciful. He's very merciful, and in ours is the devotee is that, and he'll try to engage the devotees more into his service. So we should follow the Bhagavad Dharma, and this is very important, and especially in the age of Kali Yuga. But you people don't know because they don't get association of devotees. The only way you can learn is by getting the association of the devotees and follow the Bhagavad Dharma. And then because this is place not this material world is not suitable for us to live. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Ashashvatam Dukhalaya. This is full of miseries and it's temporary. Our real home is back to Godhead. So we should do the Bhagavad Dharma and follow the religious principle, not to be envious of people, try to help them, give them Krishna consciousness, and then Krishna will be pleased with us. And then we are following our duty like Bhagavad Dharma. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so coming Kali Yuga is only 5,000 years gone, and so much of Kali Yuga left. It's going to deteriorate more and more. That's the nature of Kali Yuga, that it deteriorates over the years. And Lord Chaitanya, he said that, please, here's Srimad Bhagavatam, here's the Mahamantra, help yourself. And then once you have got your oxygen mask on yourself, then help others and get them out of here, because it's going to get really tough as time progresses, and help them and show them the way. Don't come back. Don't try to come back on your own. You have to bring back many other people. That's your responsibility, especially as Bharat Vasi. If you are born in Bharat, or you're related to to your Indian family somehow, then you should help and try and help other people to go back as well. This is what the mission is all about. It's like collective helping, not just helping yourself. Although everybody has to fly their own plane, but you have to make sure the people's planes, if they are troubleshooting, help their planes to fly as well. Although you will fly your own plane, but help others to fly so they can also fly their plane. So thank you so much, Mataji. I don't know if Praveen Mataji is able to speak at the moment.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes. Yeah, he was just deep asleep, but the carer, he got worried as well. So he just wouldn't get out of bed, but then finally he did. So Hare Krishna. So I missed the beginning, but in the end, I think like Mataji, she nicely explained, Vishnu Mataji, and our dharma is the Bhagavad Dharma. Devotional service is the only way for us, that's the only savior, like Harinam. And we are just, caught in this rat race, running after material things. And that is the cause of all the entanglement and all cause of all misery. So connecting with the Nam is only going to save us, engaging our senses in the service of Krishna. And like this morning, when we were reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so merciful, how they spread the Sankirtan movement. They said like the more they were distributing the love, the more it increases. And Panch Tattva Mantra, how it is so merciful. And we recite Panch Tattva Mantra before we do the rounds, if we incur any sins, they're eradicated. So we have to take shelter of this Maha Mantra and engage in devotional service. I don't know what I wanted to say. My brain is just going everywhere, you know. Yeah, so, you know, that is the only, you know, savior. And I don't know, I had so many things in my mind, but they're just gone now, Prabhuji. Yeah, it's just gone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, very nice. Yeah, thing is, we come to this world, and although, you know, our soul is there, is giving consciousness to the body, but yet the consciousness, it's is animating the body, but yet it's sleeping. You know, this is why all the acharyas are saying Jiva Jago, because we are actually sleepwalking. We are sleeping. Our consciousness is sleep, and that's what we're trying to awaken. The knowledge, everything is there. We're just trying to awaken. We don't have to manufacture it. Prabhupada said we don't have to find anything from anywhere. It's all there, right? It's within us. But we have to awaken it, that's all. We have to awaken that knowledge and awaken that attraction to Krishna, and they've shown us the way how to do it. So Jiva Jago, that's the key.
Like in India, they used to do Prabhat Fairy. They used to you know, do bhajans, you know, in the streets to wake up people.
Yeah.
So that was so nice, you know. And now even at home, children, like I remember when my dad came from India, and he had, you know, he'll wake up early in the morning, do his prayers, and because he was living with my brother and his family, and my sister-in-law, they all used to get upset. Oh, he wakes up so early, Rola Pandeya, you know. So now to the conditioned soul, it seems like that's the wrong thing to do. So, but that is the right way to connect to the Lord. And like this morning, we were discussing, you know, and I was thinking, you know, saying, you know, even just to take the name of Krishna is Krishna's mercy that we are able to take his name.
Oh, yes.
So we don't need to think beyond that, what will happen, whether we go back to Godhead or not. You know, as long as we can take his name, we are connected with Krishna. It doesn't matter where we are. Then there's no worry. So when we remember that he is the creator, he's the maintainer, he's the annihilator. So all worries are gone.
Yeah, Krishna should be the priority in our mind all the time.
Yeah.
If we do that, then when we are about to leave, then that priority will come in. Krishna will make sure that we remember him at the time of death, because that's inevitable. It's not going to come. It can come. Maharaj Dikshit knew he had 7 days. We don't know. We go 7 minutes. We don't know. Okay, so suddenly we're talking, heart attack can happen. We can die. So we don't know how much time we have. At least Maharaj Dikshit knew that he has 7 days to prepare. We don't have any time to prepare. As far as we're concerned, every day is our last day. And but we should be morbid about it, because that is life. You know, we all come with a clock, and that clock can stop anytime. But we have to keep going, right? Despite that, and just try and gain what we came for, as much as, you know, gain that treasure as much as we can, so it's enough to take us back home. Thank you, Mataji. Let's do a couple of rounds. Swish Mataji, and then Puri Mataji. Hare Krishna.